There can be a lot of reasons for writing a narrative. In some cases, a narrative is part of a larger work. Like, you might use a narrative in your introduction for an essay that's maybe trying to persuade its readers or researching something. In that case, the narrative can function as a hook to get the reader interested. In other cases, when writing a paragraph or essay, the main point of writing might be to tell the story, to tell the narrative. This is a sample student paragraph posted by students from a class at Montana State University on a wiki online. This particular paragraph is telling a story, so it's a specific event that took place in the past, and the student has a way of explaining the different parts of the story in chronological order, and we'll look at some of the transitions in the story to see how he does that and other elements that make this a narrative. So the story is Caleb Likes to Mop. Recently, I held an amusing and memorable conversation with my son, who began kindergarten this year, on the subject of mopping. My 5-year-old son Caleb claimed my Swiffer mop as his own, and he enjoys mopping my kitchen and hardwood floors. Last summer, while I was watching him eagerly mop my floors, he suddenly exclaimed, "I'm just like a janitor." Amused and somewhat surprised at his thoughtful comparison, I smiled and answered, "Yes, you are like the school janitor, Mr. Bruce." Immediately, a bright smile came to his face, and he agreed with obvious pride and delight, "Yes, I am like Mr. Bruce." Then I told him that maybe someday, when he was a bigger boy like his brother, he could help Mr. Bruce mop the floors at school. Upon hearing that, he told me excitedly, "I'm going to help Mr. Bruce at school. I could be the one to mop the hallways." Meanwhile, Caleb put his mop away and moved on to his next activity. I assumed he would forget about our conversation. Later, on the first day of kindergarten, I was listening to Caleb's brother help him prepare his backpack, making sure he had the pencils, erasers, and supplies he needed on his first day of school, when I overheard Caleb say earnestly, "Should I take my mop?" My older son and I refrained from laughing so we wouldn't embarrass him, and told him gently that no, he wouldn't be needing his mop today. My heart warmed, and I wished that moments like those could remain in my heart forever. But sadly, memories fade and little boys grow up. Maybe someday when he is a bigger boy, Caleb will help Mr. Bruce mop the school hallways. But in the meanwhile, he'll have to be satisfied with helping his mom mop floors at home. So if you notice the way this paragraph begins, the student starts with some general background information, letting us know who the story is about, introducing the characters, and setting the scene. He tells us that this occurred recently, and he gives us another clue with a transition that indicates how much time has passed since the event took place by saying last summer. He also includes dialogue, so there's the specific statements that his son made and how he responded, and that can add to the narrative as well, because you're telling things that happen exactly as they happen. So if you can recall conversations, sometimes including dialogue can help make your narrative more interesting. Notice other transitional words in the paragraph that show time is passing. So we understand that this conversation happened first, and then, by using then, the student tells us what else occurred as part of that conversation. And here we also have meanwhile to let us know when things are going on at the same time. And we also see another passage of time later. So this isn't immediately next from the conversation that the student is describing here, but maybe weeks later, maybe months later. And we also have more dialogue, and towards the end of the story, the student kind of explains why this was an important moment. He says, the student's a she. She says, "Sadly, memories fade and little boys grow up." So the purpose of the story was to sort of communicate a lesson that she learned, or just to inform the audience of something that she realized as a result of this story that she told, these events taking place. So your narrative should definitely have a point. You're not writing just because your teacher told you to, although I know that sometimes seems like the case. Out of all the events that occurred in your life, out of all of the experience that you've had, out of all of the things that you've observed, you need to make sure that you have some sort of statement explaining why this particular event is significant to you.